Hello, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, as and when you are watching this lecture. Welcome back to Indirect Tax session. So, today I will cover some important topics in IDT, and the topics whichever we are going to cover today will be mentioned in the description of this video also for your better reference that what all it's covered in this lecture. So not to waste much of your time, let's continue the knowledge series on GST. So last lecture when we saw a GST model in India, and we understood like there is a dual GST model in India, right? One second. Okay, so dual GST model in India. Okay, how it is a dual GST model in India? Like there is a control to levy tax not only on central government but also the state government of India. Each and every state has the power to levy the tax under GST regime. So that's why it is a dual GST model. When you can say that it is a, like when there is a power given to central government and when it is given to state government and when it is given to both, how it is understood, that we will be discussing in today's lecture. Along with that topic, we will also try to cover maximum of important definitions under GST, which will be very helpful to understand our upcoming classes. So the definitions which we will cover is also required to be known. Okay, so when I talk about a GST model in India, there is a dual GST model. How it is a dual GST model? It is if there is a transaction, for time being, try to understand if it is a intra-state supply, then both central government and the state government have a power to levy the tax. GST, okay, levy GST, and the GST levied if there is any intrastate transaction is CGST plus SGST or UTGST, suppose any union territory. Okay, and if it is interstate supply, if it is interstate supply, then only central government has a power to levy GST and only IGST will be collected. Okay, so if there is a, that's why I have very clearly given a flow chart. If it is an intrastate supply, both central and state government have a power to levy, and CGST plus SGST is levied. If it is an interstate supply, only central government has a power to levy GST and IGST will be levied. Now, sir, how will you determine whether it is a intrastate supply or interstate supply? This was also covered in last series. Just to recap, we need to see two things. We need to see the location of a supplier and the place of supply. If the location of a supplier and place of supply is in the same state, then it is a intra-state supply, and if it is in a different state, it is a interstate supply. Okay, please try to understand. You should not see whether the supply is in a same state, then intrastate supply. If it is in different state, it is interstate supply. That was up to inter level only. But now, as you are in final level, and as and when you receive invoices of your client to review the GST portion, you should check this whether the location of supplier and the place of supply is in same state or a different state. If it is a same state, it is an intrastate. If it is a different state, it is an interstate. That will lead to your tax portion. If it is in the same state, CGST plus SGST. No, it is a different state, then IGST only. So that is the way to determine the intrastate supply or a transaction is interstate supply. Okay, what are all taxes subsumed into GST regime? So just for a knowledge sake, these are the taxes which are now subsumed and there is no more such taxes levied. Just to read, in central portion, if you see in central government hand, all this are no more levied, like excise duty, additional excise duty, service tax, additional customs duty, special additional duty, that is SAD, CST, central sales tax, surcharge and cess. In state government, VAT, octroi and entry tax, purchase tax, luxury tax, lottery betting and gambling, state cess and surcharge, entertainment tax levied by states. So these are all taxes which are subsumed and there is no more such taxes levied. In place of such tax, there is only one tax which is levied and that is GST. GST. Okay, so this is the discussion. Now, as you are aware, see, to levy GST and to subsume all those taxes which we discussed now, there should be some changes in Constitution of India. So there was a change in Constitution of India. There was an amendment in Constitution of India and there was a new article, that is 246A, which we will discuss in some time, was brought into a constitution to ensure that there is a constitutional power given to levy GST. See, earlier in article 246, you had list 1, list 2, list 3, all intermediate level. All the taxes accordingly was levied in list 1, list 2, list 3. So here what happened, if you see, there was a sale of some goods where only central government has had a power. I mean, if there is any sale of goods, central government has no power to levy tax on sale of goods. Central government, when there is a manufacture of goods, state government had no power to levy such. So that is why what happened, Constitution of India needs to be amended to provide power to both central government and state government equally. So whenever there was a sale of goods, there was no power to central government to levy CST or VAT within state. Same way, if there is a manufacture of goods, when excise duty is levied, it is collected by central government. State government had no role at all. So there was some up and down in central government and state government. So what Constitution of India did, it amended the Constitution of India and it brought a Constitution 246A, which gives a power to both central government and the state government to levy and make a law. So there was an amendment, 101 amendment. Which amendment? 101 amendment, which gave a power to central government and state government to levy the tax. With effect from 8th September 2016, 101 amendment came into force into India. So very important is 101 and 8th September. MCQ question 2016. MCQ question it is. Okay. Then how GST came, how the definition of GST came, we are going to see that. So Article 366 defines GST, defines goods, defines services. So under Article 366 we are going to see all these definitions. So to 12A, which defines GST, it simply says GST means any tax on supply of goods, services, or both, except taxes on supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Okay. So in definition of Article 366 12A of GST, it clearly defines that any tax on supply of what? Goods or services or both, except tax on supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So GST will not be levied on liquor for human consumption, alcoholic liquor for human consumption. The GST will not at all be levied unless and until there is another amendment to Constitution of India after agreement of each and every state that yes, we are ready to give up the revenue of sale of alcoholic liquor, then only GST can be levied, which is impossible for next 20 years minimum. So GST on alcoholic liquor for human consumption is kept out of the ambit of GST, very clearly defined in Article 366 12A GST definition. Okay, and that any tax on supply meaning is defined under section 7 of CGST Act. We are going to cover that in later classes. Goods or services, supply of goods or services, no manufacture, no sale, no service, nothing. If there is any supply of goods or services or both, GST will be levied. What is services? What is goods? So definition is defined here as, for goods under 12, goods includes all material, commodities, articles. Simple. Goods includes all materials, commodities, articles. Services means anything other than goods. So there is no logic at all in this definition. If this is goods, okay, or you can say this portion is service, means anything other than goods is service. So there is no proper clear definition here, but yes, we will try to cover. So 26A says services means anything other than goods. Okay. See, as I was telling you, central government and state government had some ups and downs between them, where there were some cases where central government was exclusively having powers to levy taxes. Earlier, same way central government, state government had a exclusive powers to levy taxes on some scenarios. So 246A, which gives a powers to the central government and state government, telling that if there is a supply of intrastate or interstate, both union and the state government has a power to make law under GST. So if there is a intra-state, union and state both have a power to make law. If it is interstate, only union government has an exclusive power to make law under GST. So this brought a clarity that whenever there is an intrastate, both get involved. But if there is any interstate between different states, only central government has the power to make a law under GST. This was given by Article 246A. A power was given. Okay, so we talked about supply, which is inter or intra, but Article 266A highlights a power in case if there is any import to whom it has been given. So if there is any import, power is given to central government, and the import of what? Both goods or services. Please try to understand, very important is, if there is any import of goods or services into territory of India, shall be deemed to be in the course of interstate supply. So if there is any import and that import is of any goods or services into territory of India or taxable territory, it shall be deemed to be interstate supply. It shall be deemed to be interstate supply. Now what it says, if suppose it is a import of goods, if it is a import of goods, IGST plus BCD will be levied. But if it is only import of services, IGST will be levied. Again I will repeat, if there is a import and that import is of goods, then IGST as per IGST Act plus BCD as per Customs Act will be levied. But if it is of services, only IGST will be levied. Any doubt in this? 269A is a deemed function which says if there is any import, it will be treated as interstate supply. If it is a goods import, IGST plus BCD. If it is service, only IGST. Any doubt in this Article 266A? Okay. So this portion I think later we can cover. GST Council, you should know, Article 279A, which is talking about GST Council, which is consists of union member, that is has a chairperson, Union Ministry of State as a member, State Finance Minister or State Revenue Minister are the members of the council. Okay, members of the council. Okay, so you should remember it consists of union minister has a chairperson, union minister of state has a member, state finance minister or state revenue minister. State finance minister or state revenue minister. They can make a recommendation on the following: if there is any taxes, cess or surcharge, if there is any threshold limit changes in turnover, if rate of GST or taxability of petroleum is also given power to GST Council, special provision to north eastern states. All these recommendations can be made by GST Council. Okay. So many places you will see on recommendation of GST Council. So based on the recommendation of GST Council, many decisions are taken under GST regime. Okay, because it is consisting of state and central level members. Okay, so nothing should be on behalf or on against anybody. Okay, now we are going to see some body of GST law, which is common in both direct tax and indirect tax. You might have studied. You have various acts in GST also: CGST Act, SGST Act, IGST Act, Compensation Cess Act, UTGST Act. So Act will talk about what to do. Act will talk about what to do. Rules will talk about how to do. Rules will guide you to do things, how to do. Notification may be rate based or maybe matter based. So it is non-rate. Rate based, any rate changes or anything, notification will be issued. Matter based, any changes or any clarification, then circular will be issued to give some clarification. So this is the body of the GST law: Act, rules, notification, circulars. Okay, so today we are going to start with section 1 and then section 2. Section 1 is about the scope and applicability of GST. Scope and applicability of GST, and section 2 is the definitions. Not all definitions we are going to cover at one stroke. One stroke we cannot complete because there are many definitions. So as and when it is required, we will refer to the definitions, but as on today we are going to cover some important definitions. So section 1, scope and applicability of GST. See, you should know that GST is applicable to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir, and you should also know that in India it was from 1st July 2017, but for Jammu and Kashmir it was from 8th July. There was a gap of 7 days. 8th July ko J&K also accepted GST to be implied. Then with effect from when? That's what we told. From the 1st July 2017, as it is called appointed day, and it was notified in official gazette. So applicable and with effect from 1st July 2017, it is applicable to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Let's move to some important definitions, and today's first definition, this all definitions are covered in section 2. First definition today we are going to cover is section 256 to subclass 56 of CGST Act. India, Hamara Bharat Mahan India. So India is territory of India, territorial water, that is up to 12 very important, up to 12 nautical miles from baseline it is territorial water. Okay, up to 12 nautical miles from territorial water, another 12 nautical miles from territorial water is a continental shelf, and up to 200 nautical miles it is a exclusive economic zone, EEZ, exclusive economic zone. So up to 12 nautical miles from the baseline it is a territorial water. Another 12 nautical miles, that is from baseline till 24 nautical miles, it is a continental shelf, and up to 200 nautical miles it is exclusive economic zone, EEZ, maritime zone and airspace above territorial water. Territory and territorial water, whatever airspace, that is also included as India. So this is the definition of India. (252). Now we saw 256 India. 252 of CGST Act tells about goods. What is goods? See, Article 366 12A or 12 gave a simple definition. Goods का मतलब ये है बस. But that is not clear. You should know this and all. Under GST, what is goods? Goods has some inclusions, some exclusions. So this is the flowchart. Follow this flowchart. Includes every kind of movable property. Sir, whatever movable is a goods? Yes. Every kind of movable property is a goods. Actionable claims, that is lottery ticket or unsecured loan, such things are also included as a goods. Growing crops, grass, and things attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under contract of supply. It includes goods, includes every kind of movable property, actionable claim, growing crops, grass, and things attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under contract of supply. Okay, what all it excludes? Money and securities it excludes. Goods doesn't include money and security. So that means it is services, sir. No, you have to see, refer services definition also, then we can make some conclusion on this part. But for time being, section 252, which defines goods and which excludes money and security from definition of goods. Okay. Sir, 2102, which talks about services. 252 plus 50 to 102. 252 goods plus 50 102 is services. Sir, here also includes an execution? Yes, includes anything other than anything other than goods, money and security. So sir, money and security, both, it's not a goods, not a services. It excludes services, also excludes money and security and also goods. So anything other than goods, money and security is services. Also it includes activities relating to the use of money or its conversion by cash, any other mode, from one form to another form, one form currency or denomination to another form currency or denomination, for which separate consideration is charged. So services will not include three things: goods, money and security. Goods, money and security. So anything other than this is services. But any activity relating to use of money or its conversion by cash or any other mode from one form currency or denomination to another form currency or denomination, and for which separate consideration is charged, it is a services. We will see. Okay, then comes to person. Person includes, okay, before that section 284 talks about person. Person includes, all these are persons: individual, HUF, Hindu undivided family, company, firm, limited liability partnership, AOP, BOI, any corporation established by or under any central or state or any government company as defined. Okay, any corporation, any body corporate incorporated by or under any law of country outside India. Outside India is a person. Any body corporate incorporated by or under any laws of country outside India. Cooperative society, local authority, central or state government, society, trust, or any artificial judicial person. Okay, so all are covered under definition of person: individual, HUF, company, firm, LLP, AOP, BOI, any corporation established under central government, state government or government company, any body corporate incorporated by under any law by our country outside India, cooperative society, local authority, central government or state government, society, trust, every artificial judicial person is a person. Next, section 2105 of CGST defines supplier. So who is a supplier, sir? Yes, see, supplier means the one who provides goods or services, no doubt about it. Person who supplies, person supplying the said goods or services are both. And it's a and shall include an agent acting as such on behalf of such supplier. Okay, that's it. Supplier means a person supplying the goods or services or both, and also it includes the agent who acts on behalf of the supplier in relation to goods or services are both supplied. So agent is also a supplier. Sir, okay. Who is a recipient, sir? Then supplier is someone who gives the goods. Recipient is to whom it is given, he is the recipient. But let's have a clear understanding on definition of a recipient in some different scenarios. So it is very clearly defined under section 293 to clause 93 of CGST recipient. A recipient, whenever there is a consideration payable and whenever there is no consideration payable. There are two different situations. If a supply is made and recipient is liable to pay the consideration, then for the supply of goods or services are both, a person who is liable to pay that consideration is a recipient. Okay, whoever is liable to pay that consideration for that supply of goods or services or both is a recipient. So what about no consideration payable? See, there are few cases where there is a supply of goods or services but consideration is not payable. So who will be treated as a recipient? See, if there is a supply of services, the person to whom service is rendered, he is the recipient. Okay, to whomever so the services is rendered, it is his, he will be treated as a recipient. But whenever there is a supply of goods and the person to whom the goods are delivered or made available, he will be called as a recipient, or to whom the possession or the use of the goods is given or made available, so he is a recipient. Okay, so there is a two scenario. If a consideration is involved, then the person who is liable to pay such consideration is the recipient. If there is a no consideration involved, if there is a services supply, then the person to whom the services is rendered is a service recipient, and the goods, if it is supplied and the one to whom the goods are delivered or the possession or use or right to use such goods are given or made available, such person is a recipient. Okay, and here also the agent, if there is somebody who is acting on behalf of the recipient, will also be included. Section 268 clause, I will forget to tell at times clause, no, so you should understand it's a clause 68. Clause 68 of CGST defines job work. See, job work means any treatment or process undertaken by a person on goods belonging to another registered person. I give woods to Mr. X. He is a job worker. The job worker works on such woods and gives me chair. So there was some treatment or process done on my goods, which is woods, and the finished goods comes as chair. So any treatment or process undertaken by a person, Mr. X, on goods belonging to a registered person, it is treated as job work. Okay, section 2 subclause 49, which talks about family. So family means spouse, children of the person, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters of the person, if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the said person. So it includes spouse and children, and also parents, grandparents, brother and sister of a person. 2 subclause 98 talks about reverse charge. See, there are two methods of payment. One is FCM, another is RCM. Forward charge mechanism is a method where supplier is liable to pay the tax to the government, but there are some exemption or exceptional cases where RCM is levied, where recipient pays the tax to the government instead of supplier. So that is a reverse charge. Okay, the reverse charge means the liability to pay tax by the recipient for the supply of goods or services or both instead of supplier. Okay, which is in short called as RCM, reverse charge mechanism. We will cover this all in detail, no need to worry. So that's it for today's session. For next session we will start with supply, scope and understanding on supply in detail. We will see with along with that we will also cover 3 schedules, schedule 1, 2, 3 also. So stay tuned with the YouTube channel, as we are going to cover more important topics on GST in upcoming lectures. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Goodbye.